Hello.
Hi, Michelle. How are you?
I'm
I'm
good. How are you, Andrea?
from Declares Your Life for Life. It's about life, and you'll be sharing your strength and hope.
Yeah.
Is what it's about.
Thank you for having me over. I love your animals, your stuffed animals.
Yeah,
They're
I
really
I have a little kid in me and such. So,
sweet, sweet.
yeah, I'm 55 years old, but there's still a kid inside of me. So, why
Well,
don't why don't
the
you
kid
kind
and
of
all of us, those
yeah
are the best people. You can allow
yeah
their inner kid to come out.
yeah if you could, share about, things you've overcome and maybe trials or tribulations in your life. And if you can start out that way, maybe from your childhood and work your way up, that would be greatly appreciated. And you could share what you'd like to share. And this would be a great
Absolutely.
help to our audience.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, childhood. Trials and tribulations as a kid. Well, I was born in a communist country, which in itself is a tribulation because the opportunities in Romania, to be more accurate, are not as such as they are in the United States of America or London, where I live now. So it is a very poor country, and the levels of back then people were a bit less civilized, and the access to information wasn't there wasn't a lot of access to information, and yeah, there was so yeah, I come from a middle aged sorry mid income family, but one of my struggles was that I was living in a very rich area, so my family was given a flat by the government, and they were my family were from not from Bucharest, so they were given a flat um in central Bucharest. So, and they weren't very, I mean, we weren't exactly poor, but we weren't very rich either. So the problem was everyone around me was super rich. So I guess that kind of created this low sense of self-worth, having, being amongst people who were very well dressed and had the latest gadgets and all the cool toys and tellies and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I guess I always had a sense of not being good enough, which stayed with me for quite a while, until I've discovered that, it's all mindset, and usually if you believe something to be true, it would be true. And with the help of with having done lots of work on myself, I've graduated from psychology university, and I'm a therapist myself, and I've had the chance to work with a lot of therapists myself, because it's required in the training, and I've done lots of self discovery, and realized that it's just mindset. It's when you live in such conditions where you everyone else seems to be better than you, then you generate this sort of low self-esteem. But I've yeah, happily I have overcome that, and now I'm quite confident. But yeah, I'm in a nutshell. Yeah.
Um, Maybe can you talk about the mind, body, emotional, and spiritual connections you have, as far as that concerned? Because the colors life is about addressing things
Mm.
about life in as far as like that as a whole person approach. Would you be able to speak to that?
Okay, yeah. So you mean like in a psychosomatic sense, the
Or
connection
or
between mind and body?
you can mix in your personal story with that, and that would be of great help to the audience.
Okay, okay. Right. Okay. Well, yeah, I guess let me, allow me to think a little bit
That's
of
okay.
an
It can be
example.
it can seem
Um,
quite complicated. you know, especially when we
I,
view things from one perspective.
in terms of spiritual, I'm not a very spiritual person. I'm quite, if anything, I'm quite the opposite. I'm all about brain and brain science and things like that. I do come from a very religious family, and probably that's some people learn from their affinities and other from their aversions. So like Martin Luther said, sometimes you need to love something so much and adore something and be obsessed with something in order to move at the exact opposite pole. So I guess having grown in a very religious family, doing lots of practices and being a firm believer in God, I've moved to the other pole where I'm an atheist who questions everything and everything like that. So yeah, in terms of my emotional life, yes, I have noticed that there is a massive in that what you think has a massive influence on your emotional life. What I mean by that is thoughts generates emotions. You first have a thought and then you have an emotion. If you have a thought of I'm not good enough, or if you have a thought of this person is going to hurt me, then you're going to generate negative emotions. And some of these responses are embedded in us by evolution. So say if you see a lion, if or someone who looks dangerous, you have an inherent reaction to that person or that animal, even if they're completely fine. Like say if you go to the zoo and the zookeeper allows you to pet a lion, and they will tell you it's completely fine, you're still going to have that reaction where, oh, the thought is going to cross your mind, well, this is a lion, it's going to eat me. So the fear is going to the thought is going to generate the emotion. And however, I have learned how to take control of those thoughts. Like I allow myself to, through acceptance of my reactions, I observe those thoughts and then I change them. Usually how I do it is I just am aware of what I think and then state the exact opposite. It's essentially mind manipulation, but it works. The thoughts that we have in our mind are put there by other people more often than not, by our parents or the authority figures in our lives, the media. So and let's face it, the media is going to present us with a very dire outlook of the world. And
I have a joke. I find that the media is like the back end of a horse and what comes out of it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does, absolutely.
And that's a polite way of putting it.
I don't watch television. I wouldn't. It's just, yeah, it's just very grim. And yes, there's a lot of bad things happening out there. I'm not saying it's not. I'm not like an ostrich, putting my head under the sand. But it's important what you focus on, because they wouldn't on the news, they wouldn't say that in Boston, Massachusetts. I think that's where Boston is. Not sure, not very familiar with American geography. A young man helped an old lady cross the street. Nobody cares about that. That's beautiful, but nobody cares about that. If he stabbed her, well, it's going to be all over the front news. And things like that, generate emotions, and people will distrust their fellow human beings, because they've been primed by media to mistrust their fellow human being. So that's why it's important to take control of what we watch. And yeah, maybe it's better to just go on YouTube and watch kittens and doggies all day rather than watch CNN or BBC.
I actually threw out my TV 3 years ago, and I don't take newspapers or magazines. And I have a doggy, a beagle.
Yeah, good move, Andrea. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, I will admit I deal with a bipolar PTSD, and anxiety disorder and something else. And I've learned to overcome those. And like you, self-esteem issues and stuff
Mm,
like that. And that's kind of why Declares, and I was a former hoarder, and that's how
mm,
Declares to Light for Life got started. Just to
mm.
give you a little bit of background and how things
I've
got
seen that
started.
you've been a correctional officer for about 30 years. I think you've seen quite a lot of the
Yes, yes.
not so pink side of life.
Yeah, but it helped me learn human nature. I have a master's degree in public policy and nonprofit management. So, um, having dealt with my own mental health issues as a result of an on the job injury, and I kept going, and it's just, you got to face things. You can't run. And, it's like a prison. You can build your own prison inside yourself. And,
Absolutely.
and I unlocked my prison and walked out with bad relationships. For a long time, and walked away from that 10 months ago and just rebuilt everything.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's to me important. Is is there anything in your life you would like to share with the audience that you have found difficult for yourself and that you overcome a lot? I know you talked about self-esteem and stuff
Mm.
like that, but is there anything else that you've been able to overcome?
Emotional abuse, I say. My mum was a very domineering person and quite neurotic. And she has abused me physically for a long, long time, um, and emotionally, which I think the scars run deeper than the physical scars the emotional ones have. And I did find myself subsequently, throughout my adult life, kind of re doing the same, following the same pattern, kind of reproducing my childhood pattern, my childhood universe, in that I was attracting abusive partners, emotional, not physical, but that also at times. And it took me a lot of self work and a lot of understanding of why I do the things I do in order to move away from that life predicament, through yeah, self-awareness and therapy as well. I'm a fan advocate of therapy, and I think it does help one a lot, because we have, as people, we have a lot of blind spots, and through the relationship with a professional, we could, those blind spots can be brought to light. So yeah, that's something that I have overcome, and I'm quite proud of myself, because it's hard to move away from that. It's hard to move away from that victim mentality. um there's this don't know, perhaps you've heard, because he's an American, his name is Eric Byrne. And his games people play, there's this drama triangle of,
Mhm.
uh, yeah, victim, rescuer, and abuser,
Right.
perpetrator, yeah.
You're
So
talking to a
I've
25-year-old mental health advocate.
yeah, yeah. So
I've dealt with advocacy and mental health and so
yeah, you would know about
I
this
know.
drama
Yes,
triangle. Yeah, it's
but
at
very
play
well.
all the time. Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
So it took me quite a while to move away from that game, because it's a game that I think a lot of people play, unfortunately. And
Mhm.
it took me a lot of work to understand that I was a victim, and not, yeah, I was actually, changing and always choosing abusers as partners, trying to rescue them, really, and then ended up being a victim. So yeah, um it yeah, finally, through a lot of self work, I've understood that and moved myself from that very dysfunctional type of relationship.
sounds like overcoming a lot. Would you like to speak to your business and what you do, and for the audience, and ways you've overcome in your business, challenges you faced in your business, and your
Mhm.
experiences? I would appreciate that.
Absolutely. So I'm a hypnotherapist. One of the things I had to overcome is, saying to people, well, hypnotherapy is not stage hypnosis, because there's a lot of stigma around hypnosis where people think, well, if I come to you, you're gonna, control me and you're gonna turn me into a chicken or make me go and jump off a roof. So it's yeah, there's because of stage hypnosis and lots of people who use hypnosis for entertainment. There's a lot of mistrust around this. So it's been quite a challenge sometimes to get people to trust the process, and through lots of explanations of how hypnosis works, and how hypnosis is quite a natural state of mind. People get into hypnosis on a regular basis, when they watch television, and they I'll give you an example. Say if they're watching ET, they're gonna be there and they're gonna believe that ET is real. It's an extraterrestrial coming from outer space. They enter hypnosis because in order to believe that is real, then you have to be in a special state of mind, and that is hypnosis. Essentially, you're bypassing that critical faculty of your mind that dismisses something as untrue. And how we use that in therapy is, say someone believes that they're not good enough, or they've been repeated from a very young age that they're good for nothing, they will never succeed at anything in life. And if someone tells them, well, no, you are actually good, well, they're going to dismiss that, because they're in their belief system, in their mindset, they believe they are not good enough. So in hypnosis, we bypass that conscious critical faculty and we reprogram their thinking, hence changing their life, because life changes. It's so powerful how one's life can change by changing some beliefs about oneself. um so that was the main challenge. Second, corona has been quite a a difficult one. Obviously, most of hypnotherapy is done face to face. There's a lot of techniques that involve touching the client, like anchoring a movement with a thought. So not being able to rely on those tools has made things difficult. And of course, don't people have people are losing their jobs, so they are quite money is becoming an issue, whereas before corona, people would be willing to invest in themselves and their self betterment and self improvement. Now people are like, oh, okay, money is an issue, and we don't know what's going to happen after lockdown finishes, and if we're still going to have a job. So that has been an issue as well. The way I overcome that, well, I've put my prices down a bit, and luckily it has worked, because now more than anything, people need support with their mental health. Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to share?
Um. About about
Um,
therapy, or about.
um, okay, you talked about, hypnotherapy and stuff.
Mhm.
You know, what was are you saying that Corona was a big triumph for you in attracting clients? What kind of techniques, or did you do other than lowering your prices to attract clients?
I offer Zoom sessions, so I've moved my practice online, and um, changed my techniques to auditory techniques rather than kinesthetic techniques. So, anchoring through voice commands rather than movement commands. And initially there was a resistance. I didn't know if it might work. I wasn't very sure of it. And obviously, when you think something, it does happen. But then I started to gain more confidence and started to believe more in the process, and yeah, started to attract more and more clients. And yeah, I think at the moment I have more clients than I had before lockdown. So yeah.
Cool.
Mm.
Um, you attracted a lot of clients and stuff like that. What has your business done for your self-esteem?
It has been an up and down. Yeah, obviously, when in the beginning, when I didn't get any clients, I was quite upset and questioning myself. Well, in the business, what's going to happen now? But yeah, as I've started seeing more and more clients, it has definitely boosted my self-esteem. Plus, I really enjoy what I'm doing as well. Helping other people is just a new level of yeah, of enjoyment, really. It's just, I love contributing to someone else's life, and I love helping people. So every time I get a new client, I'm eager to discover a new universe, because I think every person, every individual is a unique universe, and it makes me terribly happy that, I'm allowed in a peek into that universe, and allowed to help move some of those constellations around, so I generate more happiness in someone else's life.
What sort of dreams or hopes do you have for yourself in your own life?
Um, well, I do dream a lot. First, I want to move to California. I love to live in California because it's always hot and nice, not
Well,
like in
can I
London
tell you
where it's
something?
always raining and cold.
I live in Washington State, which is on the same coast as California.
Same.
Actually, um, let me give you a heads up. Taxes are really high. They tax
Okay.
income. I have a friend who lives down there, and he says they want to move out. A lot of people are moving out
Really?
of California because the politics. They've
Yeah.
got the whole state locked down, and they've opened up my state and stuff. But you better be prepared to have a lot of money because they like to tax you to death in California.
Really? Well, I'm assuming, and I don't know this for a fact, that if they do have large income tax, they would have large incomes as well. 'Cause you can't tax something that.
Yeah. So no, I have a friend, he says it's a challenge to live there even with a high income
Mm.
because, between taxes, about half his income goes out in taxes.
God,
So
okay, that's not too good. I thought UK is bad, but we have it good. Okay, what other state would you recommend I move?
Washington's a great state.
Is it hot? That's
Rainy kind of stuff like that, but we have beautiful mountains and you're close to the ocean. Where I
nice.
live, I'm only an hour and a half from the ocean and about
That's good.
40 minutes from Mount Rainier. It's called Puyallup, Washington. And it's a very nice state. Where I'm growing is grown up fast, but housing is less expensive.
Mhm.
Um, it's a good area to live in where I live and a lot of friendly people. And I have a friendly church. It's open. I'm not putting my religion on you. I'm just saying for me, it's
Yeah,
good.
no, I'm
It's a
not.
great
Yeah,
social network.
okay.
And I was in therapy for 4.5 years. I'll just come out and say it. I used to be, because of my abuse as a child, I had severe abuse as a child. I
I'm
had
sorry.
multiple personality disorder, but I am one person. I combined into one, if
Mm.
that makes sense.
It does,
And,
yeah. Yeah,
it was just born out of a lot of trauma. And it's just
yeah,
an
yeah.
extreme
You
form of
split
PTSD.
your personality in order to cope with the pain.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Uh huh.
okay, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but we all have pain and some. Um, I know you've talked about your self-esteem, but is there anything else that is, I know if you're willing to share this with the audience and they would probably greatly, any other kinds of pain you've dealt with in your business or your personal life that, has maybe brought you down or maybe fueled you to have passion and such?
Kind of other pain. Mm, Generally, a very happy person as of more recently. Um, Perhaps the fact that I am a woman has been in some, not in the current society. England is quite good. It's not the sexist country, but in Greece, because I lived in Greece for about 6 years, I have struggled with the fact that because I am a woman, I shouldn't have a position of power or a position in management, and regardless of how much of my time I invested and how much effort I've invested in the job that I was performing, it wasn't that it it wasn't as important as to what sex I am, in the sense of, people who, men who were much less qualified and much more, much less smarter than me, and worked half the amount of time that I did, got the promotion. And it was, I think, simply, it was more than anything, it was a matter of, my being a woman. So yeah, that's another place of pain and more frustration than anything, because yeah, it's there's this feeling of powerlessness that you can't really do anything about it, that comes up, and it's a difficult feeling to cope with and manage. But yeah, I guess that's again the victim mindset, which takes over, that hopelessness that you can't really do anything about it. And yeah, I guess that's why I live in the country I live in, because in the UK, I think the individual has a choice, and it's a very accepting society, and it everyone does right by by everyone else, regardless of sex and race and color. Yeah. So
Um, um, where do you see yourself as a winner in life?
as a winner in life, well, I first of all, I want a family. I don't have any kids, and I would like to have kids, and I would like to have a balanced family life and a career as well. So I would like to continue what I'm doing, gain more skills, and I'm currently qualifying to become a counselor, and I'd like to, qualify and become a, not renowned necessarily, but a popular, and well-known psychotherapist in England, and at the same time have a family and a house and a dog and a cat. I only have a hamster now. And
I,
a partner I love. That's why I feel, yeah, I feel I'm blessed, but I'd
I
like.
have I, I I've had a house and a dog for forever. So I got the American dream in my 20s because I didn't like apartments, and just a little to share with you.
Thank you.
I think that's a great dream. I think that's a great dream, to have. I think, you know, I I look for me, I this is just something to share personally. I used to look for relationships in all the wrong places. But like you, the power and control issue, and I recognize that. And once I recognized that, it gave me a sense of self-worth and realizing, it's really interesting. I've done like 600 Facebook lives, and we're on all the platforms, and I get call outs from men all the time. It's interesting, yeah. And these look
Call
like
out.
good men. And one time, 15 years ago, I was 494 pounds, and I dropped 360 pounds.
Well done.
So that was a big game changer. And I've
Mm.
been where I'm at for 7 years. Um, we have coaching people are trained in coaching, how to coach people on things in their life. And I train people who've dealt with difficulties themselves. Um, uh, just I'm just kind of letting you know a little bit about me, and
Yeah,
so you know where I'm from.
I enjoy listening. Please
So
do share.
I
What do
look
you
at
mean by call outs by men? I didn't quite
call
understand.
outs, offers, they
Okay.
they want to hook up, some of them. I have men chasing me across platform.
Yeah,
It's
there's
funny. I find it funny, but I have two people who work for me, and I kind of keep my distance from individuals. I don't do anything virtually. If I'm going to meet somebody, I will meet them in my church or somewhere where it's safe. And
yeah, no, of course.
you
There's
have
lots of
some.
weirdos on the internet.
Oh
And
yeah, I would
people who,
definitely
yeah,
agree. And
reach
one thing,
out to someone who they don't know and ask for hooking up. There's usually an alarm signal there, an alarm
oh yeah,
bell. It's like,
that's
well, you don't even know me. Like,
yeah.
yeah.
I like to talk with people who have good value, have good values and a good sense and good grounding. Um, and
Obviously,
so,
there's a lot of them out there. There's a lot of good people out there, and
yeah,
there's a lot of bad people out there. It's just,
yeah.
I
I
think,
like to try to
worth.
look to the positive side of things. Sounds like you like to look towards the positive self of things. And that.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I ask how old you are? And if you can just kind of tell where you're at from what part of England and stuff.
Mhm. I'm gonna be 34 years old in what days? In 10 days time? Yeah, in
Well,
10
happy
days time.
birthday.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, 34 and I live in London.
Great. I get
Yeah,
people
in
from all over the world. So I
southwest.
like to find out where, you guys come, where everybody's from.
Best
I,
city in the world, I'd say.
I get everybody from all over the world. I think the furthest I've gotten is Australia.
Oh, I
So
love Australia,
yeah, it's
except for the
I love
spiders and the bugs.
that. I, when I get going, that's some of my dreams is to travel. Do you like to travel?
I love traveling. I lived in 4 different countries. So I was born in Romania, then I moved to Greece, then I moved to Germany, and then I'm here for 6.5 years.
Oh,
So,
how
yeah,
do you enjoy living in London?
I love it. Yeah, I'm living the dream. I love the city, the people especially. I think Londoners are, yeah, a good bunch of people. Everyone is very happy down here. Everyone before lockdown, yeah, life was really hectic, really hectic. But that's how we function here. That's how we operate all the time in the pub, all the time socializing or going to events. So Corona has disrupted that, but people in London have always found ways to connect, and even if it's on Zoom or meet three 4 6 feet apart in the parks. So yeah, I love the city. I think it's amazing. I consider myself blessed to live here, and yeah, maybe someday I will move to California because it's hot, but I think I'll still come back here.
That sounds great. What do you love about what you do? What are some of the favorite things you love about what you do as a psychotherapist?
Mm.
You know,
Watching people change right in front of me, listening to their stories of pain and dysfunctions, and then through techniques and through talking and really through the relationship itself, I see them having revelations and insights and changing their life and taking different decisions and making different decisions and taking different choices, which enhances their life. And to have the chance and the opportunity to watch that firsthand is just unbelievable. It's absolutely, yeah, it's truly extraordinary. And yeah, that's what I do. And there's hops and working with people that have experienced trauma and have experienced a lot of pain is can be difficult at times, more often than not, but it's worth it in the end, because you can see it in front of you how changes happen and how little by little they start changing their life for the better. So that's definitely worth it.
How do you use your own personal story that you share with me in your business to expound your business and grow your business? And, one other part to that is, how has Zoom, really changed you, and how do you attract clients and stuff like that?
Mm-hmm. Okay, to answer your first question about my story, I don't share very much about I mean, with my clients, I don't share anything about me because it's unless they ask. But um, I don't use my story very very much. Even if I relate to a client, it's not about me in the session. It's about them. And a lot in my training has been, to not um, allow transference to happen, where I relate to the client in the sense that I put my story first. So yeah, I don't use my story. I think you're the first person I actually tell my story who doesn't know me. So I don't use my story very much. Zoom has changed me, not so much. I'm I changed my attitude towards working online, I'd say. It wasn't it wasn't something that I would have considered before lockdown and corona, but now I am becoming more open to it because I could see that it doesn't really make a difference, and I can still help people even through Zoom. So I became more accepting of the process, because at the end it is the relationship that heals rather than the techniques you're employing. Um, how I generate clients, I've got a marketing company in Australia working with me, and they advertise my services. And I'll use lots of social media platforms. So I do Facebook advertising and Instagram advertising. Plus, I do have quite a significant following on these platforms. So, yeah, clients come along through there. And I use a bit of LinkedIn. I think that's how we met. But that's
Yeah.
more to promote my YouTube channel, where I post guided meditations. So and referrals. Most of the clients will be via referrals. So happy clients refer their friends, their family, not close family because it's not ethical. But yeah, that's how I get my clients from.
Just to let you know, we have an affiliate program where people who are willing to work with us and their following and stuff, we give people 50% of the cut on. I have 3 books out. As far I have, if you visited my site, so have you
Yeah,
visited
yeah.
my site?
Not really. Sorry.
Yeah, no,
Not
that's
really.
okay. You might try visiting.
I've seen your profile. But
Yeah, if you look at declaresdelightforlife.com, you'll see our full picture of what we have as a business, and that would educate you on it. You know, maybe reaching out to your followers, about, decluttering, because I found, like, you help people declutter their lives. You help get them rid of the clutter. I can see by what you do. And I'm the same way. I'm about sharing experience, strength, and hope. And I think that's a big shout out for people nowadays, especially. I hope. I think that's what people need for
yeah, there's a
perseverance.
a lot of stuff in people's lives, and people need, like you said, to declutter and reorganize and shift things around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in order
Exactly.
to
So,
create change. Yeah,
exactly.
I'll have a look. Absolutely.
So I just thought I'd give you a shout out for that if you're interested. It's a
Sure,
way to make
absolutely.
money.
Yeah, I love connecting with other people.
That I'd definitely love to connect with you more. Um, just to let you know that I give a free coaching session, which is a $200 value to all my podcast guests. to help them with their business and stuff like that. About half of what we do is marketing, and we have ways of marketing that are very efficient. Very things. I have a content creator. Um, I have a technology person, so I have quite a bit. Um, it's been about building, and sounds like you want to build something more for what you're doing. You got, I hear that in your hopes and dreams and stuff
Yeah,
about wanting
there's
to move something beyond that. And that, in fact, there's ways I could show you not to pay Facebook and Instagram. There's ways of doing it that you don't have to spend money. And I like to show people those ways because, why pay the big companies?
yeah,
It
because they
probably gets expensive, doesn't it?
there's lots of funds go to Instagram and Facebook. Actually, Instagram is part of Facebook now, so yeah,
Yes, it is.
dear old Zach, everything goes in his bank account.
Right. So it sounds like we should kind of wrap up. And I also will be sending you some of my books for free.
Thank you so much. I really
They're
appreciate
all
it.
virtual. They're all virtual books. They're all virtual books
I've got a
and,
Kindle, so that's okay.
and stuff. You can look at there and you'll see what the books are. Secrets from clutter to declutter, the 28 days to declutter your life, and secrets to cluttering your mind now. So they were all written from experience. Perfect. And then I have a book coming out here short in about next 2 months on anxiety and depression and how people and how dealing with it from a firsthand perspective. So I'm not all about theory, but action.
Yeah, personal example and real life experiences that have changed you.
Yeah, exactly. In this wrap up and stuff, what would you like to share with the audience as far as what you see for yourself? What things from the from this podcast interview. What are some of the things you see that you would like to share with the audience and give them as a good takeaway?
I'd like to say that patience is important, and if someone's not in a good place at the moment, especially with everything that's happening in the world, maintaining a positive outlook is really important. Having patience and maintaining the knowledge that things will change and things will be better tends to attract that. So think positive and the universe will be with you. That's quite in a not a the secret sort of way, but maintaining a positive outlook is very important because positive things tend to attract positive things. Yeah.